So we are starting this auspicious journey of the study of the beautiful message of Sri Krishna, the song of God, Bhagavad Gita, and with the blessings of our Guru Varga and the blessings of the Lord Himself, let's take on this journey of exploring the deeper meanings of the messages of Sri Krishna. So let's start by reciting some beautiful verses from Gita Mahatmya. There's this beautiful compilation of 7 verses which present the greatness of the Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, so we should first pause and sing and understand the glories of the Bhagavad Gita. That prepares our mind, it purifies our heart, so that the wisdom that is about to unfold is truly appreciated by us. Gita Shastramidam Punyam Yad Pathet Prayata Puman Vishnu Padam Avapnoti Bhayashoka Divarjita. Whoever studies this sacred Bhagavad Gita with sincerity attains the abode of Lord Vishnu, Vishnu Padam, free from fear, lamentation, and other miseries. So, this is freedom from miseries. That's the understanding of liberation. Liberation is not just a mystic concept which happens after death. Liberation is freedom from fear, lamentation, and misery, and misunderstanding or avidya. So that is waiting for us from study of Bhagavad Gita. Let's look at the next shloka. Gitadhyayana Shilasya Pranayama Parasya Cha Naiva Santi Hi Papani Purva Janma Kritani Cha. For one who studies the Gita and practices self-discipline, even sins accumulated from previous births are destroyed. Okay. Third verse. Mala nirmochanam pumsam jalasnanam dine dine sakrit gitambasi snanam samsara malanashanam. So we take a bath daily to cleanse the body, but bathing even once in the waters of the Gita, that cleanses the impurities of material existence. Samsara mala nashanam. So this daily study is a purification. Gita sugita kartavya kimmanya shastra vistarahi ya swayam padmanabhasya mukha padmadvini harushatya. The Bhagavad Gita should be studied well. Sugita. What need is there for many other scriptures? Kimanya Shastra Vistarai. We don't need studying, we don't need to study too many things. Why? Since it has directly emanated from the lotus mouth of Lord Padmanabha. Padmanabhasya Mukha Padma Dhvinishrita. Bharatamrita Sarvaswam Vishnur Vinihrishrtam Gita Gangotdakam Pitva Punarjanmana Vidyate. The Gita is the very nectar and essence of the Mahabharata. Bharatamrita. So Bharat represents Mahabharata. It is the essence or nectar of Mahabharata. So just, being amazed and impressed by the diplomacy and the adventure of Mahabharata is not sufficient. The essence of Mahabharata is in the Bhagavad Gita. And it is flowing from the mouth of Lord. One who drinks this angels like nectar of the Gita is freed from rebirth. Punarjanma navidyate. And this is a very famous verse, also quoted by Srila Prabhupada very often. Sarvopanishado gavo dugdha gopalanandana partho vatsaha sudir bhokta dugdha gitamritam mahat. that all the Upanishads are like cows. And Sri Krishna, who is a cowherd boy, the son of Nanda Maharaj, he is the Dogdha, he is the milker. So, and Arjuna is the calf. So, Sudhi, those who are wise, they should drink this nectar milk of the Bhagavad Gita. This is such a beautiful analogy presenting that the essence of the Upanishads are collected, distilled in the Bhagavad Gita. And the last and the most impactful verse of the Gita Mahatmya is Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Gitam Eko Devo Devaki Putra Eva Eko Mantrastasya Namani Yani Karma Pi Ekam Tasya Devasya Seva. So, in search of universalism, if we want to worship only one God, let that be Devaki Putra, Krishna. If you want to study one Shastra, let that be Devaki Putra Gitam. There is one supreme scripture, the Gita sung by the son of Devaki. There is one supreme Lord, the son of Devaki alone, Eko Devo. Devaki Putra Eva, alone, Krishna alone. There is one supreme mantra, which is His holy names. And there is one supreme duty, which is loving service to that supreme Lord. So this sets the beautiful introduction and the mood to begin the study of the Bhagavad Gita. So with this, let us begin. The first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is called Observing the Armies on the Battlefield of Kurukshetra. In Sanskrit, it is called Sainya Darshan. So be what will be presented in this chapter is observing, or the word nirikshana is going to be used. Two different perspectives on the same situation. How is Duryodhana perceiving the battlefield and how is Arjun perceiving the battlefield? Both of their nirikshana is going to be presented in chapter 1. So that will bring out the characters which are going to be, heroes in this epic. So the setting is that Dhritarashtra, who is the blind king, and he's the father of the Kauravas, he's asking his minister Sanjay. Sanjay, because of the blessings of Sri Vyasdev, he had psychic powers. Sitting in the court of Dhritarashtra in Hastinapur, he could directly envision what is going on the battlefield of Mahabharata. So the first chapter is going to introduce us to the main characters and then bring us to the dilemma of Arjun. Yeah. So this is the beginning of this great epic of the Bhagavad Gita. Let's begin. So we'll see a few themes, and I'll keep sharing which verses form a theme, then cover them, and then move to the next theme. It is helpful to categorize verses based on themes. Let's chant the first verse. Dhritarashtra Uvacha Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yuyutsava Mamakaha Pandavaschaiva Kimakurvata Sanjaya. Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjay, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do? Okay, so here the chapter is beginning, presenting the mind of Dhritarashtra. So Srila Prabhupada first presents that Bhagavad Gita is the widely read theistic science. So it is not just a book of beliefs. It is a theistic science. Science, as we have discussed before, means there is a method which leads to a certain outcome, and it's reproducible, it's verifiable. So, similarly, this is not a belief system that Sri Krishna is presenting. It is a science which Sri Krishna is present. So, it's universal in its appeal. So, Srila Prabhupada is saying one should study the Bhagavad Gita very scrutinizingly with the help of a person who is a devotee of Sri Krishna and try to understand it without personally motivated interpretations. Yeah, that's the only way it is going to benefit us. And what is the best way to understand the Bhagavad Gita? Prabhupada says the example is present within the Bhagavad Gita itself, that of Arjun. So if you're fortunate to understand the message in Parampara without any motivated interpretation, then you have already gained the understanding of all the Vedas. So when a message is received through Parampara, you benefit from it. And that surpasses all studies of Vedic wisdom and all scriptures of the world. So if it is authentic, it is effective. You don't need to keep searching in 10 other places. So this is the perfect theistic science. Bhagavad Gita has all that is contained in other scriptures and it has more than that. So therefore, Prabhupada is calling it perfect theistic science because it is also directly spoken by Sri Krishna. So this scene is evolving on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, which is a sacred place, Dharma Kshetra. So we'll understand what is the significance of this holy place of Kurukshetra. So here, Bhagavad Gita was spoken by the Lord when he was personally present, and he spoke it to Arjun, but actually he is presenting this message for the benefit of all mankind for all time to come. So now, why is Dhritarashtra asking such a question? It's almost, rhetorical. There is no need to ask such a question. If they have assembled on a battlefield, it's obviously to fight. But no, there is fear in his mind. So Dhritarashtra was highly doubtful about the ultimate victory of his sons. So he knew that, I'm not sure if they'll succeed, if they'll be victorious. And Kurukshetra being a holy place, he was worried that the influence of that holy place should not end up leading to a compromise between the two sides. Yeah, so he did not want a compromise. What does it mean? He wanted to have it all. That is the mind of Dhritarashtra. No, nothing to be shared. So he's asking that, okay, everyone has assembled there with a determination to fight. Is there going to be an influence of the holy place? Will the Pandavas, who are already righteous, change their mind? Or will the influence of the holy place end up affecting my sons? Yeah, because the Pandavas were already dharmic, so the place would have a beneficial influence on them. And he was aware of that. So, and another significant revelation, sometimes our speech reveals whatever we try to hide in our mind. So he's saying Mamaka Pandavas Chaiva. So he's calling only his sons as the Kauravas. And he's removing the five sons of Pandu from the dynasty. So this already shows his way of thinking. Yeah, he separated the sons of Pandu from the family heritage. So this is the primary disease of aham mameti, which is the seed of all conflict. So his doubt, his fear is all being revealed in this verse. So, this discloses his mind and his relationship with his nephews, that he did not consider them as his own. and he did not want any compromise. He wanted his sons to have it all. But Prabhupada says, what happens in a paddy field? A farmer will diligently remove the weeds. Yeah, and similarly, here Sri Krishna, the father of religion, is present. And it's natural that all the weeds who are compared to the sons of Dhritarashtra, they're going to be wiped out. Yeah, and those who are religious, they are going to be established by the Lord. So this is the whole setting of the Mahabharata, that the Lord came to establish religion. So here, in this battlefield of the Dharma Kshetra, Kurukshetra, it's also very significant. Why did Sri Krishna choose a battlefield to teach Arjuna? Now as we move ahead in this chapter and further to other chapters, you will see how we will move from this external battlefield of Kurukshetra to our internal battlefield. So chapter one is not starting the teaching. Chapter one is creating a need for teaching. Why did Sri Krishna need to speak the Bhagavad Gita? So we'll see how Arjuna is going to end up confused and how his crisis is going to prepare the ground for Sri Krishna's instruction. So this chapter is also called Arjun Vishad Yog. So Vishad is actually a negative quality. You know, it's a demerit. It's a problem. But Vishad can also become Yog. If you have the right guidance, if you have the right attitude, even crisis, even depression can connect you to the divine. So that means there is no state where you can be hopeless. What is more important is, are you taking the advice of the divine? Are you open to the guidance of the divine? So this is presented here in the first verse. We will see Dhritarashtra, Prabhupada says, is not just physically blind, he's also spiritually blind, morally blind, psychologically blind. Yeah, he's making this distinction. And here we will see on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, all false claim to dharma will be tested. Who is really on the side of dharma? Because everyone thinks they are protecting dharma. So everyone's hidden loyalties will be tested, and everyone's false claims to dharma will be tested. What is dharma? Dharma can be understood in many ways, but in this context, dharma can be seen as a force which reveals what you truly serve. What are you actually serving in life? That is your dharma. So here, Dhritarashtra is exposing his mind. He is being partial. He's in power and he is being partial to his sons. But what is he saying? It is for justice that I'm asking this. So partiality always appears as a concern for justice. Nobody outrightly says they are partial. It starts with looking like a concern for justice. And it seems they are protecting the truth, whereas the reality is that they are only protecting their side. Mamakaha. Okay. Then the verses 2 to 6 present Duryodhana. Now we'll see Duryodhana's Nirikshana. First, we'll see Duryodhana's perspective. In verses 2 to 6, Duryodhana is going to survey the Pandava army and he's going to make observations. Let us see. Dhritarashtra Sanjaya Uvacha Drishtva tu Pandavanikam Vyudam Duryodanastada Acharyam Upasangamya Raja Vachanam Abravit. Sanjay said, O king, after looking over the army arranged in a military formation by the sons of Pandu, King Duryodhan went to his teacher and spoke the following words. So Dhritarashtra was blind and his sons were also spiritually blind. Yeah. And Dhritarashtra was sure that they'll never reach an understanding with the Pandavas because Pandavas were pious, they are dharmic, and the Kauravas, Duryodhana and his brothers, they are vicious, they are adharmic. They have the motivation of greed, envy, pride. So that these two sides can never reach a common understanding. So he knew that there could be no understanding between the two because they are so different by nature. But still, he was fearful of the influence of the holy place of Kurukshetra, as we just discussed. And Sanjay, being, expert minister, he could understand that his king is despondent. He's like unsure. He's feeling a little dejected. So to encourage him, Sanjay is speaking this that don't worry, your sons will not make any sort of compromise. There'll be a full-on war. So Duryodhana is presented as a Raja, king. The Raja is going to the commander-in-chief Drona. It usually doesn't happen. Raja doesn't have to go to anyone. But we'll see why is Duryodhana doing what he's doing. Yeah. So Duryodhana sees the seriousness of the situation. Basically, he's overcome by fear. Therefore, he personally, being the Raja, he has to personally go to his commander-in-chief, Dronacharya. So here we will see Duryodhana's diplomatic side. Yeah, he is called Raja for a reason. Raja means one who follows Rajniti. That is, Rajniti is not dharma. Rajniti is simple political cleverness. Anyone can do it. But a true Dharmaraj means one who follows dharma transparently above Rajniti. That is a Dharmaraj, which is Yudhishthir Maharaj. So Duryodhan might be strategic, clever, politically astute, but he's still not dharmic. Yeah, so we'll see his all his tactics coming in the next few words, his diplomacy. So Prabhupada says he was quite fit to be a politician. But in spite of his diplomacy, yeah, his diplomatic veneer could not disguise the fear he felt when he saw the military formation of the Pandavas. So, looking at their army, he was actually fearful. And then he was trying to act confident, trying to talk strongly or appear strategic. So, a lot of times people may speak with confidence, but it is just hiding their anxiety beneath. And we'll see his deceptive attitude when he speaks to his not just his commander in chief, but also his teacher. Dronacharya has taught him the military arts. So the verses from here reveal Duryodhana's fear. Let's look at verse 3. पश्यैतां पाण्डुपुत्राणाम् आचार्य महतिं चमुं व्यूढं द्रुपदपुत्रेण तव शिष्येन धीमता. So Duryodhana is now speaking to Dronacharya. O my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupad. So Dronacharya is a great Brahmana and he's the commander in chief. Duryodhana, is not hesitating to point out the defects of Dronacharya right in front of him. Despite being his teacher, despite being the commander in chief, Duryodhana straight away starts fault finding. What was his fault? That in spite of knowing that Drupada, who is against him, who by the power of his yagya has received a son who will destroy Drona, still he did not hesitate to teach him the military secrets. I mean, it's so difficult to imagine these liberal Brahmanas. Of course, he did not know at that time that when there is going to be a war-like situation in the future, when the Pandavas and the Kauravas will end up conflicting, because at that time when they were young, they were all one family. But as things ensued, they were now on the opposite side. So that's how destiny works. Dronacharya, of course, he knew that he is teaching Drishtadyumna, who has taken birth especially to destroy him. See, that's something only Brahmanas can do. They are like completely truthful, completely fearless. They'll stand by the principles no matter what. And this cannot be imitated. So he did not hesitate to impart all his military secrets to Drishtadyumna. And it was Drishtadyumna who is now arranging the army for the Pandavas. That's such a twist of fate. Who are you fighting? You are fighting your own expertise. Dronacharya is now facing his own expertise. What he taught is now being used against him. Now, what other trick from the back will pull out? So, Drishtadyumna is mentioned here. Duryodhana is actually pointing out the mistake of Dronacharya. See what you did. Don't repeat that mistake. He's saying now you be alert and uncompromising. If you want to make up for your past mistake of Drishtadyumna, please do not uh, be affectionate or lenient to the Pandavas now. Okay, so he's basically hiding his anxiety. That is what Duryodhana is doing here. He's calling, him Dhimata, your intelligent disciple. So he's using it, ironically. He's using it rhetorically. That's what politicians do. They turn language to evoke emotions, to inflame Drona's anger. That's the expertise of a politician like Duryodhana. He's weaponizing, the past to now inflame Drona. So, and this is sometimes you might also encounter this that people might manipulate you to gain your loyalty by reminding you of the past insults. That person insulted you, therefore now you have to be on my side, so we will oppose them. But a dharmic leader has to be aware of this. A dharmic leader should refuse to be controlled by such reminders of past insult. A dharmic leader does not choose sides like this. So it's a very, gray situation here. The loyalties are mixed. Affection is mixed. Dronacharya has affection for the Pandavas, but now they're on the other side. In fact, Arjun was his most affectionate and brilliant student. And now he's facing him on the opposite side. So it's real twist of fate in so many ways. Yeah. So there is what is visible on the surface is military and war and armors. But what is happening underneath is a lot of emotional turmoil. There's a lot of underplay of emotions going on in every warrior present on the battlefield. So he's basically warning Dronacharya, you cannot be lenient now. Okay, let's chant verse 4. Atra shura maheshwasa bhimarjuna samayudhi yuyudhano viratascha drupadascha maharathaha. Here in the army are many heroic bowmen, equal in fighting to Bhima and Arjun. Great fighters like Yuyudhana, Virata, Drupada. So he's saying that Dronacharya is on our side. Still, there are many significant obstacles to victory on the side of the, you know, obstacles to our victory. Who are they? They are these powerful warriors on the side of the Pandavas. They are like stumbling blocks on the path of victory. And because, he personally knew the strength of Bhima and Arjun, he was comparing other warriors' strengths with theirs. They have strength as much as Bhima and Arjun do. Yeah. So Drishtadyumna he used in a strategic way to point out Dronacharya's fall, but he's now pointing out the more powerful warriors. So he is calling them powerful, Maharathi. So is it praise? It is not praise. It is his hidden fear. He's praising his enemy, but it is only coming from a place of inner fear and anxiety. So it is seeming that he's appreciating or praising the enemy, but it is just his fear and insecurity. If there is someone you envy, yeah, and you might, they achieve certain recognition, because you compare, that makes you insecure, and you might praise them on the face, but really inside you're experiencing insecurity and fear. So it's just comparison. That's all he's doing, which is producing fear in him. And what is the problem when you compare and that creates fear? Now you will not be able to act dharmically, you will only react. You have made it around your ego. Now it has become egocentric. Now it is difficult to act dharmically. He continues listing out warriors on the Pandava side. Verse 5 Drishtaketu Chekitanaha Kashirajascha Viryavan Purojat Kunti Bhojascha Shaibhyascha Narapangavaha. There are also heroic, powerful fighters like Drishtaketu, Chekitana, Kashiraja, Purojit Kunti Bhoja, and Shaibhya. So these are all the great warriors on the Pandavas side. And he's calling them Nara Pungavan, the best of Nara, the best of humans. What does this mean? What quality of, what virtue are they demonstrating, which is making him call them Nara Pungavan? Their courage. That's what Kshatriyas value, courage and loyalty. They are so loyal that they have come here ready to fight, ready to give up their lives. So that courage, that loyalty is that human excellence, which is being pointed out here by the words Narapungavan. It's also interesting to see that how, there's a network of Kshatriyas, a network of courageous people who have gathered behind Dharma. It signifies that Dharma cannot be upheld by one hero alone. Dharma needs a network. It requires a community of support. Individual brilliance is good, but dharma always needs a network of support. Yeah. Let's look at the next verse. Yudhamanyuscha vikranta uttamaujascha viryavan saubhadro draupade yascha sarva eve maharatha. There are the mighty Yudhamanyu, the very powerful Uttamauja, the son of Subhadra, and the sons of Draupadi. All these warriors are great chariot fighters. Yeah. So we have seen that he's diplomatically trying to praise them, but what is really happening within his heart is fear and anxiety and insecurity. What is interesting to see here that the younger generation is mentioned. Abhimanyu, yeah, the sons of Draupadi. So war is so evil that it is not only between one generation, Even the descendants are shaped by the choices of the previous generation. So it is not the conflict of Abhimanyu and the sons of Draupadi. They were called Upapandavas. So they're just young. They were not even present when most of the injustice happened. But what is the principle? That injustice by anyone, injustice creates a burden for future generations. They get pulled into those unresolved conflicts. What does that mean? We have to be responsible today so that we protect those who come after us tomorrow. Because if we perpetrate injustice, we are spoiling the lives of future generations who will be pulled into that unresolved conflict. Okay, so these verses from 2 to 6 presented how Duryodhana is surveying the Pandava army. Now, from verses 7 to 11, Duryodhana is now going to rally his own side. He's going to say, we are no less. Verse 7, Asmakam tu vishishtaye tanmibodha dvijottama nayakamamam sainyasya samgyartham tat bravimi me. But for your information, O best of the Brahmanas, let me tell you about the captains who are especially qualified to lead my military force. Yeah, so he is again diplomatically presenting, posting his strength. Yeah. What is the significant word used here? Mama. This is my army. So very interesting. He is, for him, the war is about him, not about Dharma, not about Sri Krishna, not about Hastinapur. Mama, Mama Sainya. We'll also see that in the next verse. So what he's doing here is again diplomatically trying to flatter Dronacharya by calling him Dvijottama, the best of the Brahmanas. So it's not just respect, it's also strategy. He's being very strategic. He wants Drona to know that if you share, if you now don't forget your affection for the Pandavas, don't hesitate because of your affection for the Pandavas. You have to be alert and you have to be uncompromising. So he's flattering or whatever works. That's how a politician functions. If it works by flattering them, flatter them. If it works by insulting them, insult them. My agenda should be achieved. So he's trying to inflame the Dronacharya, he's trying to flatter Dronacharya. So it's just a form of pressure that he's putting on Dronacharya. Yeah. And I think Dronacharya is spiritually mature. I'm sure he can see the motive behind this praise of Duryodhana. We should also be alert when we face such people who might praise us like in the spirit. He compares the strength of his army with that of the Pandavas' army in the next few verses. Verse 8, Bhavan Bhishmascha Karnascha Kripascha Samitim Jayah Ashwathama Vikarnascha Saumadhattistathaiva cha. There are personalities like you, Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Ashwathama, Vikarna, and the son of Somadatta called Bhurishrava, who are always victorious in battle. So these are warriors who have never lost even one battle. They have a victory streak. So that's what gives him confidence. He has exceptional heroes on his side. So he's also praising Vikarna. Vikarna is his brother. He's not as powerful as the other warriors mentioned in this verse, but he still diplomatically includes Vikarna in that list of warriors because in the past, we know that Vikarna had a soft corner for the Pandavas. So he wanted to be sure that, he should not be in two minds. Let me, you know, put him in a category, flatter him, that he gives up his, confusion or contemplation of who should I pledge my loyalty to. So that's the intention with which he's including Vikarna here. And then the others are listed. Ashwathama is the son of Dronacharya. Bhurishrava or Somadatti, he's the son of the king of Mahilikas. And Karna is, we know, he's the half brother of Arjun. He is Kunti Putra, but before the marriage of Kunti Devi, and he was abandoned. And Kripacharya's twin sister married Dronacharya. So they're all, it just shows how, enmeshed each one is to each other. They're all crisscrossing in the relationships. अन्ये च बहवः शूर मद अर्थे त्यक्त्वा जीविताः नानाशस्त्रप्रहरणाः सर्वे युद्ध विशारदा. So yeah, he's listing out these great warriors. So we are always asked if Bhishma Dev is a Mahajan. Yeah, Dronacharya is a great teacher, a great person himself spiritually as well. So why are they supporting Duryodhana? Why are they supporting evil? So this is where, it becomes intricate. Not everything in life is black and white. Dharma doesn't mean that a conflict is necessarily going to be between something that is obviously good and something that is obviously bad. And that's not, how simplistic real world is. It might not be a simple conflict between individuals who are obviously good and individuals who are obviously bad. Sometimes good qualities, which means people with good qualities, can become bound to a wrong cause. So they are good, have great virtues, but their affiliation is misdirected. Why do they have to get bound to that wrong cause? It could be loyalty. It could be the obligation that they feel like Bhishma, they've said, he cannot give up his allegiance to the throne of Hastinapur. So, in different ways, these individuals with good qualities have got bound to a wrong cause by debt, by loyalty, sometimes by weakness, or sometimes by wrong judgment. They're not able to see that they are on the wrong side. So, what is important, this is very difficult to practice in real life. To see people who are individually great and then not see how is their alignment. So, there is difference between ability and alignment. So, alignment is more important than ability. Just personal greatness does not automatically justify the cause that you are serving. So, they are great individually, Bhishmadev, Dronacharya, Kripacharya, but that does not purify the cause that they are fighting for. They're still on the adharmic side. Yeah. And here, interestingly, by the way of destiny, Duryodhan ends up predicting. He's saying Mad Arthe Tyaktva Jivitaha. And for my sake, he meant to say that for my sake, they are willing to give up their life. But another reading is also that they are going to die for my sake. Not for, these warriors are not going to die for dharma, for truth, for Krishna, but for Duryodhana. So loyalty itself is not, greatness. Loyalty which is detached from dharma can become dangerous also. So basically, Duryodhana is saying that these people are already marked for death by Krishna's plan. So, and it's very difficult because of our ahankar to relate to Duryodhana. We always relate ourselves with the hero, the protagonist, Arjun, Yudhishthir Maharaj. But we have all these anarthas. There is a Duryodhana inside us. So we also have to, be very careful and check if we are also, what is my loyalty serving? Is my loyalty serving truth or dharma or Krishna? Or is it serving personality? So these are very difficult decisions to make, very difficult things to perceive. So Duryodhana was confident because of the combined victory of his friends, that they have never lost a war. They are Samitim Jaya. They've all won every war they have fought. That means they'll also win this war. That is how he was gaining his confidence. So Anye, here he's categorizing these warriors in verse 9 as Anye because they did not have the same strength as that of Bhima or Arjun. They had lesser strength. So he's calling them, and there are others who are not as powerful as Bhima and Arjun, but they're still significant. Verse 10. अपर्याप्तं तत् अस्माकं बलं भीष्माभिरक्षितम् पर्याप्तं तु इदम् एतेषां बलं भीमाभिरक्षितम्. Our strength is immeasurable. Aparyaptam. So it's very interesting, we can read this in two ways. Aparyaptam tad asmakam. Our strength is immeasurable. Another reading of the word aparyaptam is not immeasurable but inadequate. Our strength is अपर्याप्तम. It is not sufficient. पर्याप्त नहीं है, पर्याप्त मात्रा में उपस्थित नहीं. So our strength is inadequate. That can be one way of seeing what Duryodhana is saying. In his mind, he's thinking our strength is immeasurable and we are perfectly protected by grandfather Bhishma. Whereas the strength of the Pandavas, carefully protected by Bhima, is limited. So what he's saying is that our strength is aparyaptam and their strength is paryaptam, immeasurable and limited. It can also mean that our strength is inadequate, whereas their strength is adequate. So he's just making an estimation of the comparative strength of the two armies. This is the role of a Raja. Yeah. He's thinking that he has the most experienced general, Bhishma Dev. His confidence is coming from the presence of Bhishma Dev. And Pandavas, they don't have generals as experienced as Bhishma Dev. In front of Bhishma, Bhima is like a fig. He's like insignificant. And Duryodhan, we know he always had a personal envy of Bhima. But at the same time, he also knew that if he were to die, it would be only at the hands of Bhima. So he's just comparing the strengths of Bhishma and Bhima and feeling confident from the presence of Bhishma Dev. His conclusion that he would come out of the battle victorious was well ascertained. Means he had reasons to believe that they are putting up a good fight. The list of warriors were never lost. Those were equal in strength to Arjun and Bhima, presence of Bhishmadev himself. So, as they say, past performance may not be indicative of the future. Sometimes when you have God on your side, or the blessings of God and Guru, somebody who is a novice can be victorious, and somebody who is experienced may not have any significance. Yeah, I mean, Somehow I have got an opportunity to experience this in my own life in certain situations of service. You know, there were a certain set of people involved and they were not experienced. But still, because the mission was blessed by the parampara, by Guru, and those who were more experienced, they were not present or not, you know, on this side. Still, the results were spectacular. So that is, it's a real uh, thing to experience actually. So we should not just believe that experience alone, or because previously these warriors had never lost a war. That means nothing if Krishna is present on the other side. And now, he continues his diplomatic behavior. He says in the next verse, अन्येषु च सर्वेषु यथा भागम् अवस्थिताः भीष्मम् एवाभिरक्षन्तु भवन्तः सर्व एव हि. Now he wants that those whose name he did not take, they should not feel left out and they'll feel, oh, and he's not, because they are not there anyways fighting for the cause of dharma. They are there for their own personal agendas or egos. So if they don't feel included, appreciated, they might not have the motivation. So now Duryodhana is trying to appease them as well. Pakka politician, opportunistic, you know, saying two things at once, ambiguous. What is he saying in the 11th verse? All of you must now give full support to grandfather Bhishma as you stand at your respective strategic points of entrance into the phalanx of the army. So now, he's securing one warrior at a time. Dronacharya done, Bhishma done. So after praising them, he's now adjusting the situation using these words. So Bhishma may be a great experienced warrior, but he is also old. So now it is upon you to protect him from all sides. Now everyone will feel important. So because if Bhishma is so engrossed in fighting on one side, the enemy may attack from another side. So you have to not leave your strategic points because it's a very big deal on how this phalanx, military formation, this is a very important part of war strategy. Who is standing where? Who has what role? So he's saying, make sure that you protect Bhishma Dev. So Duryodhan clearly felt the victory of the Kurus depended on the presence of Bhishma Dev. That is where he's getting his confidence from. Yeah. Why? Because he knows that Bhishma and Drona, they did not speak a word when Draupadi was being disrobed and insulted in front of that Asat Sabha, where those warriors, great warriors, were assembled. So if they did not speak at such a moment, that means they'll not support them even now. Yeah. Although he knew that they had certain sort of affection for the Pandavas, he hoped that they would now completely give it up. So, there's so many layers. They have affection, but they did not take their side in the past. So now Duryodhana is feeling confident that all that affection has given up. So nobody is certain who do they side with, who do they have affection for. This is really what a conflict looks like. It's also important to see because the way these Mahajan, those who are elders naturally, the way you act, the way you acted in the past also sets a precedent for the future. Once you commit a mistake, then that standard is compromised for all time. So it's so important to stand for the stand for the right cause, uphold the principle. So here, he is basically we see Duryodhana's. mind being exposed. Yeah, it's just his fearful mind which is producing speech which can be read both ways. Sometimes when somebody is in fear, somebody is under pressure, their own communication is contradictory. If you listen carefully, you can understand what is beneath their words. Yeah. So Duryodhan is resting his confidence on Bhishma Dev, but Bhishma Dev himself is not sure which side should he support. Yeah. Somebody whose own conscience is divided, how much support can they give others? So because at the level of virtue, all these great commanders in chief, generals, most of them, they also have affection for Pandavas. They also want to support Dharma in some way. So they are already divided in their conscience. They are already unstable. So any plan or team which is resting upon people who are conflicted internally, that means they have those who have internal conflict about the mission. They are not sure, they are not convinced of the mission. Such organizations, such teams will always fail because you are depending on people who are half-hearted. And so that is the case here. 12th verse. So here in the next verses, you will see verses 12 to 19. Now they are signs of beginning of the war. How would they indicate? We are about to begin the war by blowing their conch shell, Shankanad. So that is indicating that we are ready. Let the war begin. तस्य सञ्जयन् हर्षं कुरु वृद्धः पितामहः सिंहनादं विनद्योचै शङ्खं दद्मौ प्रतापवान्. So Bhishma, the great valiant grandsire of the Kuru dynasty, the grandfather of the fighters, blew his conch shell very loudly, making a sound like the roar of a lion, Simmanad, giving Duryodhan joy. So he wanted to reassure Duryodhana, don't worry. Although I am internally conflict, I'll still, assure you by indicating my support. So that's why Mahabharata is very nuanced. What is happening here is Bhishmadev is acting according to Kshatriya Dharma. He has a certain vow. So that is his Kshatriya Dharma. Hmm. But here he also has loyalty for Sri Krishna. He's a devotee of Sri Krishna. Whether it's victory or defeated, that's not as important as much as his loyalty and devotion to Sri Krishna. So he's participating in it, but it's just a tragedy for him that he somehow has ended up on the wrong political side. So even if you perform your duty fully, Simmanadam, that I am with you, Duryodhana. But what did we see? Duty or ability without proper alignment will still be tragic only. So, we think we are very loyal to our profession, our institution, but all of our loyalties and personal vows, they have to be examined in the light of higher dharma. In itself, that allegiance, that alignment is not enough. Is it supported by dharma? So here Srila Prabhupada says that Bhishmadev could understand the heart of Duryodhana. He's a grandfather after all, so he has affection for both the sides. He has a natural affection for Duryodhana as well. How do you explain this? This cannot be explained logically. So he tried to cheer him, yeah, by blowing his conch. He is signaling his depressed grandson Duryodhana that he had no chance of victory in the battle because the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna was on the other side. But it was his duty to fight, and he will perform his duty to the best of his ability. That was what he was announcing. Yeah, no pains would be spared in that connection. So, because Krishna is on the other side, victory is theirs. But still, I will support you and I'll leave no stone unturned in doing that. तथा शङ्कश्च भैर्यश्च पणवा न गोमुखाः सहसा एव अभ्यन्हन्यन्त सशब्दतुमलोऽभवत्. So what happened after Bhishma Dev blew his conch shell, which sounded like a lion roaring? After that, the conch shells, drums, bugles, trumpets, and horns were all suddenly sounded, and the combined sound was tumultuous. So this is just Kshatriya behavior. Before the start, they develop a mood. How will you fight if you are not vigorous, you are not enraged, you are not angry? You cannot fight in a friendly, peaceful, calm way. So these are all tricks, the Simmanad, and they insult each other. That inflames each other's angers. That's the right mode in which you can fight. So this what is happening, this collective tumulo bhava. It was a tumultuous collective sound here. Yeah, so you see the whole machinery of war being put into action. Hmm. So once collective violence begins, of like this is called mob mentality. When collective violence begins, then to then individually to have moral reflection. Am I doing right? Am I doing wrong? That becomes very difficult because now mob mentality has taken over. Now people will not think sanely, will not think morally. It's very difficult. So this is indicating Tumulo Bhavan. Now collective violence has overtaken individual moral compasses. Now we don't know the direction. And you see this everywhere. Anything that's suddenly blows up on social media or mob politics or even escalation in a corporation. All of this just inflate emotions where wisdom and morality cannot act. It makes it difficult to think sanely and morally. 14. तथा श्वेते हयैर्युक्ते महति स्यन्दने स्थितौ माधवपाण्डवश्चैव दिव्यौ शङ्खौ प्रदत्मतौ. On the other side, both Lord Krishna and Arjun, stationed on a great chariot drawn by white horses, sounded their transcendental conch shells. Now, here the word Divya Shankha is used, which was not used previously. So, here Krishna and Arjun are representing a fight which is dharmic. Because of Shri Krishna's presence, it's also transcendental. Divya, it becomes divine, it's not ordinary. So, here Prabhupada says, the sounding of transcendental conch shells indicated that there was no hope of victory for the other side. Yeah, because Jayastu Pandu Putranam Yesha Esham Pakshe Janardana. So, because Janardana is on your side, Pandavas, victory will always be yours. And Prabhupada also refers to the last verse of the Bhagavad Gita that wherever the Lord is present, the goddess of fortune is present. Tatra Shri Vijaya victory, fortune, they are all awaiting Arjun. So divine transcendental conch shells are being blown. And the chariot is also significant. This chariot was donated by Agni Dev. Yeah. And Agni means it can consume everything around it. That was the nature of this chariot as well. It's going to completely conquer everyone around it. So the difference in the two is one we saw is our tumalo bhavan, escalation, collective violence, mob mentality. That's what is happening on one side. But on the Pandava side, it's so different. Pandava's response is marked by the presence of Sri Krishna. That is their highlight. Yeah, it's not just a military machine. It is a divine chariot. Yeah, so it has divine origins, and there are white horses and auspiciousness. So these are all indicating, that these are signs of victory. So who's guiding you? That becomes more important than how capable you are, because in pressure, all of us will buckle. So under pressure, what is more important is who is guiding you and how equipped are you. And now Sri Krishna is going to blow his conch shell. पञ्चजन्यं ऋषिकेशो देवदत्तं धनञ्जयः पौण्ड्रं दद्मौ महाशङ्खं भीमकर्मवृकोदरः. Lord Krishna blew his conch shell called Panchajanya. Arjun blew his, the Devadatta, and Bhima, the voracious eater and performer of Herculean tasks, blew his terrific conch shell called Poundra. So now, everything that's said here is very significant. Rishikesha, he's the master of the senses. Rishikesha word is used to indicate that Krishna, who is the Isha of the Rishika. Isha means the Lord or the controller, and Rishika means the senses. So he is the director of the senses of his devotees. Those who are impersonalist or atheist, he doesn't, he doesn't control their senses. They are left to their own karma. But devotees are directed by Sri Krishna. That's the significance. So we are all part and parcels of Krishna, Mamai Vamsho Jiva Loke. So therefore, the senses of the living entities are also part and parcel of his senses, naturally. So the impersonalist cannot understand how can living entities have senses. So they are trying to reach an impersonal understanding. But the word Rishikesha is a slap to that conception. Krishna is the master of everyone's senses. In this material form, our material senses, and in our spiritual form, even our spiritual senses are directed by Sri Krishna. So there is that individuality and those senses that will remain. That's our individuality. So impersonalists cannot understand this. The Lord is in the heart of everyone, so He gives everyone free will. Hmm? And sometimes we might think it is the free will only which is the cause of all problems. But free will is what is also giving us our individuality. So He will direct you to the extent that you have surrendered to Him. If one is not surrendered, then Krishna is not going to direct your senses. In the case of a pure devotee, he directly controls the senses. So that means here he's basically in charge of the battle of Kurukshetra. That is the significance of the word Rishikesha, because Pandavas are devotees. They're acting on his behalf. They're acting for his mission. So it is entirely about Krishna. And, Prabhupada says we'll see different names of Lord Krishna being presented. Arjuna is going to address the Lord in different names, and every name has its own significance in that context. Madhusudana, because he killed Madhu. Govinda, because he gives pleasure to the cows, he gives pleasure to the senses. Vasudev, because he appeared as the son of Vasudev. Devaki Nandan, he's the son of Devaki. Yashodanandan. Parthasarthi, so similarly, he is Rishikesha because he is giving direction to Arjun on this battlefield. And Arjun is referred to as Dhananjaya. Yeah, Dhananjaya means he is famous for gathering wealth for Yudhishthir Maharaj to, you know, We'll see. Now, to rule, you first need wealth, and Arjun had proved that. That's how he had earned that name. Dhananjaya, when it is required by the king to make expenditures for various sacrifices. A Dharmaraj, righteous king, will perform sacrifices, but you need resources for those. So that's, Dhananjaya, one who collects wealth for the purpose of dharma, is Dhananjaya. Bhima is called Vrikodara, interestingly. Vrikodara has two meanings: somebody who eats a lot and somebody who performs great tasks. So he is both. He can perform Herculean tasks and he also eats voraciously. So, these, all of the Pandavas, then they blew their respective conch shells. And all of that was very encouraging to the soldiers who were fighting on the side of the Pandavas. So we don't see such things mentioned when the Kauravas were blowing their conch shells. So they were predestined to lose the battle, and that was the message announced by the sounds of the conch shells. So, very interestingly, names are used in such a way that they have certain significance for that place. So, basically, Rishikesh means the ultimate perfection of human strength is that it is guided by Krishna's will. Krishna should become the director of our senses. That is the perfection of our free will, perfection of our abilities. So it takes, through the journey of the Bhagavad Gita, we'll reach an understanding where we realize, yes, the best course of action for me is to surrender to Krishna. Yeah. So that's how the transformation of Arjun is going to progress from chapter 1 to chapter 18. So it's also very interesting to note the significance of the word Rishikesha, that when you have divine guidance, even lesser resources can be effective or impactful. Yeah, otherwise, talent, resources, or power, if they are uncontrolled, yeah, if the senses and emotions are uncontrolled, then whatever talent or resources those individuals might possess, it might still lead to disaster. So direction is more important than resources or talents. And therefore, we will see when Arjun becomes dejected, Sri Krishna doesn't address his situation by suggesting him some war strategy, because this is not significant. He starts by presenting to him dharma, that if you are not aligned, you are not harmonized, then how much ever talent or resources or power you might have, it'll all be destructive, it'll all lead to failure. So this is very interesting. We should have spiritual direction. And then the quantum of our talent, our resources is not that important. Okay, let's chant the next three verses of different warriors blowing their respective conch shells. Ananta Vijayam Raja Kunti Putro Yudhishthiraha Nakula Sahadevascha Sughosho Manipushpakau Kashyascha Parameshwasah Shikhandi cha Maharatha Drishtadyumno Viratascha Satyakischa द्रुपदो द्रौपदेयाश्च सर्वाशः पृथ्वीपते सौभद्राश्च महाबाहुः शङ्खान् दद्मौ पृथक् पृथक्. King Yudhishthir, the son of Kunti, blew his conch shell, the Ananta Vijaya, and Nakul and Sahadev blew the Sughosha and Manipushpak. That great archer, the king of Kashi, the great fighter Shikhandi, Drishtadyumna, Virata, the unconquerable Satyaki, Drupada, the sons of Draupadi, and the others, O king, such as the mighty armed son of Subhadra, all blew their respective conch shells. So Sanjay is informing Dhritarashtra very tactfully that, his unwise policy of deceiving the sons of Pandu, he's trying to deceive the Pandavas of their rightful claim to the throne of Hastinapur. So Sanjay is communicating that, very tactfully, that your policy to deceive them of their rightful claim is unwise. Yeah. And trying to enthrone his own sons on the kingdom was not very laudable. So basically, king, your vision is wrong. Already, he's not saying that in those words, but he's explaining or listing the signs which indicate that. The signs already indicated that the whole Kuru dynasty will be killed in the great battle, from Bhishma to Abhimanyu. All were present there and all were doomed. And why? Because of one person. This whole catastrophe had to take place because of Dhritarashtra. He encouraged or he turned a blind eye to the vicious activities of his sons. He encouraged the policy followed by his sons. So, it's common to find people in situations where say, we are not doing, they are not doing, they are not listening to us. That's not how a Raja can say. So, and the names are also, you see, very significant. Ananta Vijaya. Mm. Their cocktails are also very beautiful name. Ananta Vijaya, an endless victory. So that perfectly suits Yudhishthir Maharaj's, ability and his dharmic kingship. And so here the Pandava sound is not chaotic, no tumulo bhavan, not tumultuous. It is creating confidence because it is coming from a place of dharma. So ethics are stronger than resources. They they have what is more important. What do the Pandavas have? Their size of the army is not important. Their inner alignment is important. That is demonstrated by these verses. They are all aligned for one mission, and that is the mission of Dharma. And you can think about it. When we are talking of Duryodhana's party, everyone had to be flattered or inflamed because everyone was there, driven by their own ego or their own agendas. That kind of a group cannot be cohesive because everyone is still trying to pursue their individual selfish interest. But here, everyone has only one common interest. They don't have their individual egoic interest. They have only the interest of dharma. So that inner alignment is already a indication of victory. And they are going to win because they are so cohesively aligned internally. And we see the list of other warriors, people from different backgrounds, Shikandri, Drishtadyumna. So all are carrying very intricate stories. Everyone here is a character. So, and every human is carrying a unique history. Everyone here who's named is is a idealized personality. They are heroes in their own respect. So, a good movement should have diverse contributors, and just not just like uniform people just following command. They are diverse. They are all heroes in their own respect. That is the kind of diverse contributors you need for a mission to be successful. And here these conch shells are blown in not a tumultuous way, but prithak prithak. Yeah, everyone is responding. It is not like chaos. It's a harmony, which is indicating. So these verses are speaking a lot. Yeah. Let's look at the next verse. Saghosho drashtra हृदयानि व्यधारयत् नभश्च पृथ्वीं चैव तुमुलो अभ्यनुनादयन् So, what was the effect of these blowing off conch shells? The blowing of these different conch shells became uproarious, vibrating both in the sky and on the earth. It shattered the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra. So when Bhishma and others on the side of Duryodhana, they blew their conch shells, there was no heartbreaking indicated on the sides of the Pandavas. Yeah, but here it is mentioned that when Pandavas and their army blew their conch shells, the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra were shattered by this sound. Yeah, why? Because this is due to the Pandavas and their confidence in Lord Krishna. Somebody who has implicit faith in Krishna, they'll have another level of clarity and confidence, which cannot come by resources, power, ability. A deep faith in the divine gives you a great strength. One who takes shelter of the Supreme Lord has nothing to fear, even in the midst of the greatest calamity. So, this is a pattern. Those who are great devotees, even in the midst of the greatest calamities, very easily they take shelter of the Lord. Prahlad Maharaj, the Pandavas. So, this is when we are tested. When we are in a crisis, will we look for our abilities, our resources, our connections, yeah, our destinies, or will we look at Sri Krishna helplessly and undividedly? This is what differentiates surrender from, you know, when we still have faith in things of this world. 20th verse, which indicates that how there were auspicious signs for the Pandavas side, which indicated that they are going to be victorious. अथाव्यवस्थितान् दृष्ट्वा धार्तराष्ट्रान् कपिध्वजः प्रवृत्ते शस्त्रसम्पाते धनुरुद्यम्य पाण्डवः ऋषिकेशं तदा वाक्यम् इदम् आह महीपते. So now, till now, we have seen Nirikshan from the side of Duryodhana, observing the armies by Duryodhana. Now we will see Nirikshan by Arjun. How did Arjun perceive the same situation? At that time, Arjun, the son of Pandu, seated in the chariot bearing the flag marked with Hanuman, took up his bow and prepared to shoot his arrows. O king, after looking at the sons of Dhritarashtra drawn in a military array, Arjun then spoke to Lord Krishna these words. Same situation. This is where the verse 2 began. Duryodhan saw the phalanx arrangement of the Pandavas and he went to Dronacharya. Arjun is seeing the same sons of Dhritarashtra drawn in a military array. And how is he going to respond? Yeah, Arjun is going to speak to the Lord. So the battle is just about to begin. And we saw that the sons of Dhritarashtra, they are already, their hearts are shattered, they are discouraged. They're disheartened by the unexpected arrangement of the military force by the Pandavas. So they're like completely shattered in their hearts, they're disheartened. Yeah, they're depressed. That how will we be able to face these Pandavas? And on the other side, there are these auspicious signs which are indicating the victory of the Pandavas. What were that? First and foremost, that they were guided by the direct instructions of Lord Krishna. That's the primary principle. Krishna's presence and directly Krishna's instructions are going to lead the side of the Pandavas. Hanumanji was present on that chariot and on the flag of that chariot. So Hanumanji cooperated with Sri Ram and they were victorious. And now Ram and Hanuman both were present on the chariot of Arjun to help him. So Sri Krishna, who was who appeared as Lord Ram earlier, he himself is there, and Hanumanji is also there. So that means it's clear they were together earlier and they won, and they're together again and they will win again. Yeah. And his eternal consort, Sita, the goddess of fortune, are present. So Arjun had no cause to fear any enemies whatsoever. Lord Rishikesh himself is there to direct him. So all good counsel was available to Arjun in the matter of executing the battle. So he was aligned to Dharma, he had the presence of Sri Krishna, and these auspicious signs of the chariot of Hanumanji, they are all indicating that in such auspicious conditions arranged by the Lord for his eternal devotee lay the signs of assured victory. So, it's already revealed that the Pandavas side are going to win. We first saw the harmony in their blowing of conch shells. That means they have full alignment to their higher goal. Yeah, they are harmonizing. They're driven by a shared service. They are not driven by ego. So Pandavas, by their presence, by their counsels, by these auspicious signs basically are arranged by the Lord. So this is a way of the Lord to arrange or to reassure victory for the Pandavas. You know, so they are pausing before the war begins. Yeah, Arjun did not initially act cowardly. You see him in this verse 28. He's lifting his bow, he's ready to fight. So there is no lack of courage. That is what we should remember. His crisis is not going to occur from lack of courage. Courage is immeasurable in Arjun, but the crisis is going to come from moral perception. Yeah. So therefore, the teaching of the Bhagavad Gita is going to become very significant. It is not just a motivational message. It is going to resolve the confusion of your conscience. That is the power of the Bhagavad Gita. Yeah. So, and even as we will see in the verses from here on, Arjun is going to end up in confusion. So it's okay. Spiritual confusion can arise in even people who are sincere and capable. That's not a problem. So we should not hesitate, yeah, because because of weakness, or if our responsibility has become morally complex, we should not hesitate. We should just continue to be sincere. Yeah, spiritual confusion is part of the process. When we have the guidance of Sri Krishna and his message, we will be rescued from that. We just have to stick to the path of love. Okay, so we'll stop here. And in the next part, we will see how Arjun responds and how different is his response from that of the diplomatic Duryodhana.